We continue our Bible study from Proverbs 14, verse 29. Whoever is patient has great understanding, but one who is quick-tempered displays folly. Why is God so patient? Is the other side of the question asked, why does God allow evil and bad things to happen? God's patience has to do with the relationship with people he would love to form. God's patience creates space where people can repent, turn to him, grow in their character, become better beings living in a relationship with God. Have you ever thought about the flip side of the coin? What if God was not patient? What if every time somebody did something wrong and then immediately, poof, they would die and simply descend into hell? What kind of world would that be? Which one of us would survive? That is not the way to create life. That is not the way to create relationships. That is not the way to grow a character or to grow the character of the people around you. One must be careful of the anger trap. The first idea about the anger trap has to do with the heart that we discussed last time, where whenever we move from emotions to will, we tend to be sorry. If you take the emotion of anger and from your anger decide what you want to do and then afterwards reflect on how it turned out, you most probably are going to regret it. That's the one anger trap. The other anger trap is that it is a short circuit to get people to do what you want them to do. It's a short circuit to behavior. We are wired neurologically to respond to negative words much easier than to positive instruction. That is a survival mechanism. If I tell somebody not to stick a finger in the plug in a negative way, they are sure to react, and that saves their lives. It carries urgency. So the anger trap is to say, listen, I am not going to be patient. I'm not going to explain to you. I'm not going to give you time to grow or to respond. I just want a certain behavior, and the only way I can get the behavior, or the fastest way I can get the behavior, is when I get angry. And then I use anger to get that emotional response and then get any sort of behavior from you that I want to see or that I want to accomplish a certain goal. We forget that when we start manipulating people with anger, we deny them the process of growth. And ultimately, we, being in a relationship with them, have to live with their lack of growth. And then anger becomes the way, the only way to get a response. But because this anger is not warranted, the people on the other side of the anger will simply get used to it, and the response will weaken, and then you are left with nothing. Always remember the law of requisite variety. The law of requisite variety states that the person with the most flexibility in behavior is in control of the system or is in control of the relationship. Look at a small child wanting ice cream. So the small child asks mom, and mom says no. Requisite variety. Okay, if mom doesn't want to, I'm going to go and ask dad. And then I'm going to go and ask dad and say, Dad, can I have some ice cream? And then dad says, no, you're not going to have some ice cream. But the kid is not finished yet. So the kid phones grandpa and says, Grandpa, mom and dad doesn't want to give me ice cream. And grandpa phones dad and says, hey, get your kid some ice cream. And then he says no. And then grandfather says, daddy says no. And then I phone grandma. And if grandma doesn't get me ice cream, then I throw a tantrum. All different types of behavior only to get what I want. And the person with the most flexibility in behavior is in control of the relationship. So how many behaviors or how flexible are you in getting what you want? The most simplest way, of course, is simply to ask or simply to state and then to expect. When you are patient with people, you allow them to be at their worst. You allow them to not do what you have asked. You allow them, but by allowing them, you are also allowing them to experience the same negative consequences of their own behavior. And this is where one must understand something about the patience of God. The patience of God is not infinite. And the patience that is expected of us is not infinite. Because in an infinite patience, then the world will also just grow worse and worse. Because God does get angry, and God does judge, and God does draw a line. And He draws the line in order to protect His kingdom, protect what is good, and He draws a line to keep evil at bay. So our patience is not supposed to be infinite. Our patience must also draw a line. So when we allow people to be their worst, we don't allow them to do drugs, we don't allow them to endanger themselves or others, we don't allow them those types of behavior that is self-destruction. We do, however, allow them their negative behavior with the negative emotional and negative worldly consequences in order to give them a chance to grow and form their character, because in future outcomes that is going to be more important than getting what I want right now. Why does understanding make a difference? Imagine you are standing for an hour and a half in a line at a teller, and I come in from the side and say, listen, may I druk in, use the teller before you? Most probably you're going to say no. Take your turn. You also need to wait in line. If, however, I go to you after you've waited an hour and a half at the teller and tell you, listen, my child is very sick, a snake bit him, I must put fuel in my car, it's a life or death situation, can I quickly draw money? You will certainly allow me. Because now you understand, and the understanding brought a requisite variety, a different behavior that you are able to keep. That is why it is important to understand not just yourself, not just the situation, but also to understand the people you are interacting with. Through understanding gives you requisite variety and different ways to approach different people in order to let them grow and let everybody get what they need and simply get through the day and get stuff done. Why patience is better than anger? Because patience is people-focused, anger is results-focused. Through anger and through a sword over people's head, you do get results, and it is the easiest way to get results. But what you don't get is a character that grows. What you don't get is people that support you. What you don't get is what you actually need ultimately. So patience is like making a small sacrifice. Patience is say, okay, even if now I don't get exactly what I want at the time that I want it, I am giving you the chance to grow. And ultimately, that growth in your character will form our relationship, and we will both get better from life. Being patient is not just about growing other people's character. It's also about growing your own character. Because where your patience stops, your character strength stops. Think about the times you've got angry. it is all in the excuse of, I can't take it, I can't handle it. And that reflects on the lack of character and where you lose control and where you lose requisite variety. So, instead of becoming angry, become patient through growing your character, developing your requisite variety, and simply be a stronger person. A heart of peace is the biblical way to describe a concept that is quite recent in psychology of wholeness. When you think wholeness, you can think about balance. You can think about living with a sense of awareness. You can think on harmony. You can think on, I am basically a happy person. Do not think wholeness means perfect. The journey to wholeness is a journey of awareness, creating a sense of awareness that this is the world outside. This is what is happening. This is the real world. This is the situation. This is the places I go. This is the money in the bank. How does that guy says when he draws money, he doesn't look at the slip from the teller machine because he can't take such negativity in his life. It is the realness outside of ourselves. It also has to do with a sense of awareness on what is happening inside of myself and how am I responding to the outside world, to the other people, to the situation that is lying in front of me. How am I responding emotionally? How am I responding through thinking and my mind? And then once you become aware of not just the outside world but also of the inner world, then you are also aware on what your place is, what parts of growth you need to do, what parts of you can be appreciated, what is the best part of you, and in what circumstances did you act the best, responded the best, when are you at your best. Let's just for a moment experience wholeness. Look to the person sitting to your left. And all you need to tell that person is just one thing from their life that you know from the circumstances, and one thing that you appreciate from their response in their circumstances. And that will give them the experience of wholeness. The mechanism of envy works with comparison. Envious people has got this worldview where they find their place in the world through comparing them with other people. Comparing them with other people, you can compare you to people better than you or people not better than you. Comparing you to people better than you is not a great idea because you are constantly judge yourself as being worthless. Comparing yourself to people not better than you is not a good idea either, because then you become narcissistic. Why don't you become whole and compare yourself with who you were yesterday or who you were 2 weeks ago and say, listen, have I grown? Have I gone better? How do I value myself compared to myself as I was in the past? This shows where a person's locus of control lies. A lot of people find the locus of control externally of them in the outside world. Then I will look to other people, find judgments from other people, and then live my life according to those judgments. They actually decide the clothes I wear. They actually decide the things I do. They actually decide. Or you can move your locus of control to the inside and say, how am I going to respond? What do I want to achieve? How am I going to grow my value for myself, my family, the organizations I belong to? Where does your internal locus of control lie? Where does your decision mechanism lie? On that what people tell you from the outside, or that you tell yourself from the inside? People who are envious has a belief system that says that other people have got privileges that I want or that I need. And they experience a sense of being unfair on why does that person have that luck, or why does that person have that or those possessions, or that or those skills, or that or those body, and I don't. Not only that, they think that success and positive feedback is scarce. There's only a few. So in their minds, if someone else is successful, it is as if they have taken my success. Let's take the image of a cake. In the Western world, people love the idea of a cake and say a cake has only so many slices, and that's how the economy works. And if you got a slice, then that's a slice that I should have taken up, or that was actually my slice, that whenever you gain something, I lose something. That is their worldview. That worldview is actually warped, because success is not a limited resource. Personal growth is not a limited resource. What you can become is not a limited resource. And this explains the reason to envy. Because once you envy people, you don't have to accept the challenge to grow. You don't have to accept the challenge to become better, thinner, faster, more successful, whatever you need to become to achieve what you want to have. So envy really rots away your life from the inside out. The effect of envy lies in the relationships that you create. You can't celebrate someone else's success. You can't enjoy when someone else does something good or just achieves something. And then what is left is envy and bitterness. The antidote to envy and bitterness is through this interaction of the outside world with the inside world, where you find your place, is you need to develop a sense of appreciation. A sense of appreciation of your own value. But not just of your own value, also of your blind spots. That's why whenever you become whole, and you need to develop relationships, because through relationships of people that care about you, you can identify your blind spots where you need to grow. And once you've identified that, you say, who do I want to become? Listen to the words. Not what do I want to achieve, but who do I want to become? Where do I need to grow and develop in order to become more valuable, not just to myself, but to my family, to the organizations I belong to, and to the community that I live in. Be careful of making value judgments on yourself that is too hard. This must all be done through appreciation. Appreciating the talents you've got. Appreciating the goodness that you are striving for. Appreciating what you have already created in life. And then you will experience wholeness as the start of a self-developing journey. The answer to envy is to grow your character. Wisdom reposes in the heart of the discerning, even among fools she let herself be known. Afrikaans het daar 'n spreekwoord wat sê, leef vat, hou toe jou kraan, dalk sien nie ander jou as 'n volle aan. Wat sê, weet jy, as 'n mens nie weet waar jy praat nie, as 'n mens dwaas is, dan moet jy maar eerder stil bly, dan kan hulle dalk dink jy het wysheid. Wysheid en dwaasheid werk dieselfde. Jy weet dat wanneer mense met 'n bal speel en jy druk dit onder water, dan kan jy dit lank onder water hou, maar jy kan dit vir altyd onder water hou. Mense struggle en probeer hard, maar een of ander tyd kom dit na vore. That is true with the wise, but that is also true with the folly. The secret on wisdom is discernment and understanding. And when we think about discernment and understanding, there is a process, and it is a process that is a process of learning that leads to wisdom. Kom dan sê ons daar is 'n proses en in hierdie proses raak ons bewus van wat rondom ons gebeur doodgewoon deur ons sintuie. En die eerste proses is daar die dataproses. Met ander woorde, dan sien ons en ons hoor en ons voel en ons proe en ons ruik. Dit is net data wat inkom, maar daardie data is so baie en daar is geen betekenis aan die data nie. Dit is net 'n reuk en dit is net 'n woord en dit is net iets wat ek voel. Dit is net data. En dan begin 'n proses van ons binnekant om betekenis te maak. En in daardie betekenis gooi ons party data weg en gebruik ons ander data en kom ons agter, maar dit is woorde en sinne wat iemand iets sê. Iemand sê iets en dan begin ons die vraag vra om betekenis te maak van wie sê wat, wanneer, in watse omstandighede, om die vraag te kan sê hoe. En dan sê ons, weet jy, as ons die data het en ons het die tweede gedeelte, ons het die informasie aan mekaar gesit, dan begin ons by die derde gedeelte van wysheid en dit is om te begin verstaan. Dan praat ons van hoekom. Kom dan vat ons 'n voorbeeld. Ek sien hoe iemand met skaap werk. Hulle dous dit. Ek sien hulle vat 'n spuit en hulle druk dit in die skaap se mond en hulle spuit dit in en hulle los die skaap en hulle laat hardloop. Dit is al wat ek sien. Wat is die informasie? Die informasie is wanneer die boer vir my verduidelik dat dit is medisyne wat hulle gee, wat die skaap gesond hou, of wat die skaap se spysverteringsstelsel aanhelp, wat ook al die geval mag wees. So nou het ek al die informasie daar rondom van wat hulle wanneer, waar doen, maar ek weet nog nie hoekom hulle doen nie, want wanneer jou skaap gesond is, dan is die verteringsstelsel beter, sit hy makliker gewig aan, en is die voortplanting beter, en vrugbaarheid beter, en het jy 'n meer suksesvolle boerdery. Ewe skielik het ek die hoekom hulle dit doen, en nou begin ek verstaan waarom hulle die moeite doen om in gereelde tussenposes, of op 'n gereelde roetine, die skape te dous. Wysheid gaan een stappie verder. Wysheid is 'n waardering van die hoekom. Is 'n waardering van die waar. Nou vat jy dit wat daar gebeur, en jy sit waar is by, en jy sit uitkomste by. En nou sê mens, weet jy, ek wil 'n gesonde kudde hê. Dit is wysheid, want ek glo dat 'n gesonde kudde gaan vir my op die langtermyn beter boerdery, beter finansiële boerdery gee. 'n Ander persoon sê, weet jy, ek weet presies van dit, maar ek gaan nie nou die geld uitgee nie, ek gaan net elke tweede keer dous, of ek gaan nie dous wanneer hulle siek is, want dit is goedkoper, want nou begin die persoon se waardes wys, en uiteindelik begin die uitkomste wys, en nou kan hierdie persoon hulle lewe inrig, volgens die wysheid wat hulle het. Hulle albei het dieselfde data, dieselfde inligting, en verstaan dieselfde, maar maak verskillende lewenskeuses. En die uitkomste van jou lewe word gemaak wanneer jou lewenskeuses volgens wysheid inrig. Kom dan vat ons net 'n groei oefening. En ons kyk hoe in ons Bybelstudie groep hierdie wysheidsbeginsel uiteindelik sal wys. Wat is die sensoriese goed wat julle sien? Jy sien mans, vrouens. Ek hoor stemme, ek hoor hulle praat, ek hoor hulle het woorde. Ek voel nogal gemaklik. Ek luister na wat hulle sê. Ek praat self. Ons proe, ons eet, ons drink koffie, ons gebruik ons sintuie. Ons lag. Wat is die informasie wat hier is? En dit wat hulle sê, is daar klein lewenswaarhede wat 'n mens moet begin waardeer. En dit wat hulle sê, en dit wat ek hoor, is daar 'n stuk lewensgeskiedenis. Iemand sê iets wat, as dit van daardie persoon afkom, dan weet ek, dit maak vir my baie sin. En dan, hoekom? Want wanneer ons elkeen hier iets te sê het, dan groei elkeen van ons en elkeen van ons word gevorm. Wat is die wysheid daarvan? Want vir ons is dit belangrik om nader aan die Here te leef. En vir ons is dit belangrik om toegerus te wees om ons lewe te staan. Vir ons is dit belangrik om 'n verskil te maak in House of Prayer en 'n verskil te maak in allemaal, en 'n verskil te maak in die koninkryk van God. En hoe ons lewens gaan indrig met dit wat hier gesê word en dit wat hier gehoor word en dit wat hier beleef word, is die wysheid van die keuses wat ons gemaak wanneer ons nie hier is nie. Ek wil hê julle moet nou hierdie groeioefening onder julleself doen. Om vir mekaar te sê, wat is daar die dinge wat ons sien en hoor? En dan te sê, wat beteken dit, wat is die informasie? En dan te sê, hoekom is dit belangrik? En dan doodgewoon waardering uit te spreek teenoor elke een wat daar is. Want deur hier saam te wees, help ons mekaar om beter keuses in die lewe te maak.